Salibonani. Welcome to Intwasa Arts Festival, the 17th edition. This year's theme is Reignite, and we're having conversations with writers. Today in studio we have the beautiful Miss Nonduduzo Ncube.
Hi Charmaine, thank you so much.
Hi Nonduduzo. So, I want you to tell us about Nonduduzo. Who is Nonduduzo within the literal space and outside of it?
Okay, I'm a Bulawayo bred young woman, and writing has been my passion, since I was young. But I started taking it seriously about 2-3 years ago. And I'm also a businesswoman, and I'm a mother of 2. Yeah.
Okay, still talking about writing. What inspired you? Is it something which is personal to you, or it's just observations from the society?
Okay, the writing part, it was inspired by my real life experiences, things that I went through. And I used to write and, store my stuff in my laptop. Now, to get the stuff out there, to publish the stuff, I actually saw other women who were telling their stories, but just because I couldn't get those platforms, to express myself and stuff, I thought maybe if I do it in the form of writing books, and publishing them, then I can be able to, speak.
Okay. As a writer, I understand that there are specific people that you read. There are specific things that you should read. Whose work are you reading?
I read a lot of autobiographies, from different people. And then I also read some novels from local artists, from local writers. I've read work by Sunyati. I've read work by Yvonne Maposa. And I've also read novels in Ndebele, a lot of them. Barbara Makalisa, and the other novels that I used to read at school. I'm now reading them again because I think by that time I wasn't taking it seriously, and I get to read like a writer. I'm no longer reading like a reader.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, are there any specific themes that guide your work, or every book or Bulawayo, it has random themes, or there are specific things that you follow?
I think it's random because when I look at the work that I've been writing, it's totally different stories, from for example, here I'm talking about a lady on Gulaan. I'm talking about a lady, and I'm writing as a first character as a woman. And then you find on that one I'm more on the male perspective of things. So even the stories, it's actually very different. The kind of lessons that you get from the 2 books, they are way different.
Okay. And how many copies have you sold? Guma books, I understand you have 2 books at the moment. How many copies have you sold, and which avenues were you using? Okay,
I've sold many. I don't have the actual figure now, but LSC Ndebele, I think I've sold around 300 books. That's a round off. In this one, I think about 40-something copies for the English one.
And are you happy?
I'm happy with the Ndebele one.
Okay, no, I understand. Okay, let's talk about writing in Zimbabwe. Let's talk about the state of literary arts in Zimbabwe. What are the trends? What sells?
I think I'll talk about in my case. I think Ndebele sells.
Okay.
For obvious reasons, right? I think it sells, and I think it also has to do with things that people can relate to. I write about. My main focus is on the local setting. And I think it's things that people can actually see, things that people experience. I think that's the key to the whole thing.
Okay, I'm sure what you figure like when you decided Uguti, this is what you want to do. Now you want to be a writer. There are things that were happening within the literary sector. What has changed ever since you started writing?
I think the fact would say like I published my book Failing as Cat Say COVID, like the first book. It just changed the whole thing because in industry, you know, I used to interact with a lot of writers. Like my WhatsApp groups, I'm writers and the like to just hear what people are saying. And you find with university, you'll be very disappointed. And even with people that no, this person has been so successful. But you know, it can be demoralizing. But then when we always I could say it was no, but my books are selling. But people were saying this. And in interacting with those people, you find with levels. No, but during COVID, the books were performing better than before. So I think I'm getting as is right.
Okay, did you have any expectations on Guyana? And what were your expectations on Alana?
First thing, I expected to fail.
Why? Why?
I had confidence issues, you know, because you'll be thinking, okay, is there anyone who's going to be interested in my stuff? Is there anyone who's going to be interested in my work? And like I said, I was interacting with people. I'm a views about they demotivate you, you know. It's a hobby, you know, you can't take this seriously. So let me do this, but then I wasn't really. I was thinking, maybe this book will be the first and the last, you know, but then it was different.
So far, how is it?
It's good. I'm in a good place, and I'm moving on.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Nonduduzo. We are here to talk about the role of media in marketing and publishing, but we'll do that after the break. Welcome back to the second segment of the Conversations with Writers. Lapha silo Nonduduzo Ncube, and she has been telling us about her journey in the writing industry, and she says that most of her work is personal. It's something which she experienced. So Nonduduzo, may you kindly share with us ukuthi umhlaba ungihlanekele, it's about what?
All right, Charmaine. Umhlaba ungihlanekele, it's not actually a biography as such, but it's a compilation of the experiences that I went through. You know, is from my teenagehood, you know, the transition process into my adulthood, and I actually went through a lot of stuff. So the story is actually inspired by the things that I went through, you know, and there's a bit of fiction here and there, but it's actually about me, basically.
Okay. And how about all their flows, the live streamer?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. A lot of questions have been asked because of that one. I wrote that one as a male character, and it also inspired by real life events, you know, from the people that I know, people that I've had conversations with. And I just thought, okay, I've read most of, you know, the novels, mainly the first characters, especially if it's written by a woman, it's mainly a woman. So I just decided, no, let me just tell the male story also, because I think I understood what men are also going through.
Okay. So what is the role of media in marketing and publicizing books that you write?
You asking as in me specifically or in general?
You can start by your own personal experience, then literary arts in general.
I think the media has played a huge role, but there's still also a lot of effort that can be put in helping the artists, publicize themselves and market their work. For example, in my case, I've most of the time before I launch a book, the media actually plays a role in raising awareness about that kind of book that I'll be intending to release. But I still feel there is little attention, like the media is actually sleeping on the artists. I still feel that there's a gap that has to be covered.
And what's that gap? What needs to be done?
I'm just trying to compare, the kind of effort that they put, especially when it comes to art. There are different categories in art. You find, more focus and more effort is put on other areas of art, like music, for example. And when it comes to literary work, I think we're lagging behind. I still feel we need the same kind of attention that is being given to the other artists.
I understand what you're saying, but I need you to be specific in terms of the effort that they're supposed to put as a sector. What really needs to be done?
I'm trying to to kind of explain. I still, if we look at the artists in terms of, we look at media houses, we look at radio and stuff like that, you find most spaces are occupied by music. Music is everywhere. Lapa, I'm just comparing, I'm trying to make an example. Music is everywhere, but you find when it comes to literary work, it's not there. It's not really there.
Okay, you mentioned something interesting. This book, you had to take up a male voice for you to say it out. So my question is, do you think when it comes to literature, there are stories that need to be told only by women? Are women's stories supposed to be told by women only, or balance? And why? Why? You explain why.
My answer is no. My answer is no, because I with that, for example, with this book, I wrote as a male character. If the tables were turned, you see how it happened. I'm a woman and I wrote about a story about men. I don't think we're supposed to be limited, because we actually live, in different places and we meet different people. And we learn a lot of stuff, and our creative minds, we actually understand as izinto and we're able to express them better. So I don't think we're supposed to be limited. I'm a woman, then I'm supposed to write certain stories. I can write whatever I can create. That's what I think.
But don't you think expression is much better when a woman is telling a story as pillar every day, and when a man is telling their own story? Don't you think it's better?
To a certain extent, yes. But then sometimes, like for example, like what I said, I interacted with a lot of men when I wrote this book. I like doing some bit of research when I'm writing, and I could understand those stories, and I could actually feel the kind of pain and the kind of things that they were going through, and I knew I could really express it in a clear and interesting way. A story about a man, because I got an experience. When you're interacting with people and you hear their stories, you try by all means to actually put yourself in their shoes and try and understand, okay, so when this was happening, what do we feel like that? So I don't think we're supposed to be limited exactly.
So is it safe to say storytelling is not determined by gender?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. How is the storytelling in Zimbabwe? How are women's stories told? Are we focusing more on heroes, or we are focusing more on victims?
I think we're focusing more on victims.
Why?
I think issue we've got these painful things that are still going on despite the noise that has been made. these troubling things that are happening, Konkwana, I think, also senses a focus too much on the sad side of things, and of which I feel with also focusing on the heroes is actually, it can actually work. Raise awareness about these things and all that, but I don't know what's happening. We are just a sad generation, I suppose.
So it sells.
Yeah, it sells, but I still feel even the heroes side would sell if we put effort. I still feel it would do good.
Okay, thank you, Nonduduzo. So after the break, we'll be talking about literature and festivals. Welcome back, and now we're talking about literature and festivals. Nonduduzo, have you ever participated in any literature festival or heard of any in Zimbabwe or outside of Zimbabwe?
I'm practically new in this area, so not yet. I haven't.
Even hearing of any festivals?
Okay, I've heard of Intwasa.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only one.
And would you like to participate?
Oh yes.
Have you made any efforts to participate? That's the question.
Last year I actually submitted my story, but unfortunately it wasn't really selected for the Interest short story competition.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's participation, eh?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Do you think we would see festivals have a role to play when it comes to literary arts, like the promotion of literature?
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think firstly, siskangela ekukhuliseni ama writers, because in my experience, like I wrote a story last year, and I submitted it, and I actually learned a lesson kompana. Ekuthini kunabanye abantu engangixoxa labo that had also submitted their stories. I actually learned a lesson, Uti. You're not supposed to write a story just because you've seen a post that we've got a short story competition. Of which that's what I did. And saying after submitting the story, there was a time I like rereading my work after some time. The time I was reading it and I was like, okay, so this is not it. No, it was rushed and it lacked that punch, njevele. So with interacting with the other ladies, I could hear okay, so these guys also did the same thing that I did, and we learned a lesson from that. And also besides they actually provide them opportunities, to develop and to mix and mingle with the other guys. So I think it's actually a good thing that's going on.
Okay, now we are say there's a particular festival going on. How would you advise, or what would you want the literature festival to look like in terms of AMA workshops, public readings, that you would prioritize when it comes to literature festivals? What works better?
I feel like isn't AMA workshops, they're actually not supposed to be just workshops. As much as they would be educative and all that, I feel there's supposed to be some sort of like follow-ups on the progress. Okay, so those concepts that we were teaching you, how are you applying them? And are you facing any challenges in applying those lessons? Instead of let's say Katesule Intwasa and then the next things I wanna put next year. It can be an ongoing thing. Okay, those things that happened, Katesule Intwasa, their follow-ups. Okay, how did this help you, and how are you managing? Are we supposed to sort of like they identify AMA deficiencies on okay, you learned this, you are failing to do it. How can we ama-remedies ankhona, how can we sort it out? Something like that. I feel ama-workshops only to attend a workshop and learn something. You can learn it and try and implement it and then face challenges, but there's no one to help you. I don't know if Intwasa does that, but in other workshops that I've attended, they're not doing that kind of stuff.
Okay. As an assignment, I want you to check if they do that.
Okay.
As a published author.
Okay, so I'll do that.
As a published author, what works for you? Self-publishing or traditional publishing?
Self-publishing works. I think traditional publishing in Zim, it's actually challenging because, for example, with this book, I tried traditional publishing, but it's the publishers, they're shunning it. They are more into hybrid kind of publishing. What you pay for the services that they do, they design the covers and everything, but you market yourself, you distribute on your own, something like that. So I felt, okay, so what's the point of using them when the cost are actually the same as self-publishing? The effort, the kind of work that I put is actually almost the same. So I think self-publishing is better. Plus, I'm controlling myself and I'm controlling how my book goes out, and I'm just managing myself on distribution and everything. And it's actually saving me a lot of time, because time-wise, having a publisher, time-wise, it can be strenuous also.
Okay. If you were to be given a chance to practice a different arts genre outside writing, where in that? Given a second chance.
Okay, I've never thought about that. Oh my god, I think I have to think about it now.
No, what's on your mind like now? I'm sure it's always something as you pop it up. I'm sure.
Okay. I guess I'll be a presenter like you.
Okay.
I suppose. Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, and then outside of, just out of interest sake, outside of abantu ababhalayo, who are your favorite artists in Bulawayo and in Zimbabwe?
I love Mzo 7.
Okay.
And I also like who else? I also like Vuyo Brown. They actually love, and I like Skosana.
Okay.
And I also like Amanda Grace. I think Singachonela. I love Kwabarati. I love is this guy? I only follow him on Twitter. His name, Twitter it's called Lights of Bulawayo. He always puts ama links and everything. My name guy.
Okay, are you currently working on something?
Oh yes, I have an erotica novel, that's coming out. It's supposed to come out probably by end of this month. We're now just polishing it up and doing my touch-ups here and there. And I'm so excited about it. People are wanting to buy. I think I'll pull me, but yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Is it a personal experience or it's an observation?
Come on.
No, I'm just asking.
Okay. Almost all my story have personal touches to them, but this one, no.
Okay, all right. So, okay, if people are looking for your work, but Tolangapi, and may you kindly share your social media handles so that people can follow you.
All right. Currently, I'm personally distributing my work. I've been having challenges with finding retailers and distributors locally. So I'm personally selling them, and I'm very active on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Nonduduzo _Ncube. And I'm also there on Facebook, Nonduduzo Ncube. I'm there on Instagram, Nonduduzo Ncube. Yeah, that's it.
Any advice for upcoming writers?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people being WhatsApp, I want to write, but I don't have money, I don't have this. Okay, and then my next question is, okay, have you written something? No, I have ideas. Okay, it doesn't work like that. The thing is, you start by writing. You start by writing your stories and all that. Because mina, I was on 0-0 balance. So what I did, I wrote the book, and then I distributed it to my friends and my family. Okay, this is too personal and stuff like that. And some of the advice, of course, I took, some I didn't. Then the next thing was I researched on the publisher that I can work with and got quotations. I didn't have money. I designed a poster to ask for help in terms of funds. Okay, that was brave of me. And then I family groups, friends, and all that. And guess what happened? I got half of the money I found. Exactly half.
Okay. From
the contributions that I got from my friends and relatives and stuff. Okay, I've got half of the money. And he was so understanding. He's like, no, you can pay as we go. I gave them the half. And the book is here now. So sometimes money, yes, it's a problem, but it can't be an excuse. But you want advice.
Okay, thank you, Nonduduzo, and congratulations on your beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
So this was Nonduduzo Ncube on Conversations with Writers. Thank you very much.